Hi, I'm going to show you how to embroider this silk ribbon primrose group. So I've started off, I've got a 15cm hoop and some tea-dyed cotton open weave fabric, and I've just cut out some leaf shapes just from some patchwork fabric that I happen to have lying around, because primroses have big cabbage-like leaves that are not terribly attractive, so I thought I'd just make them a background issue here. So I'm just going to pin these down roughly onto my cotton open weave fabric, so that I'm going to stitch them down using my sewing machine in a minute. I'm going to stick them into a slightly larger hoop. I've got a 20cm hoop here. Putting the hoop on so that the fabric sits at the bottom of the hoop rather than at the top, so we're pushing the smaller hoop in at the top. And I've got a freeform embroidery foot on my sewing machine, and I'm just going to whip round by hand, just guiding it by hand with just some black thread. It gives you a nice kind of naive finish. So this is going to form the background to our little primrose group here. This is really fun to do, actually, no trouble at all. So there we are. I'm going to put it into my 15cm hoop here. It's going to stay in this actually, because I'm going to use this little hoop as a frame and just hang it on the wall as it is when it's finished. So I'm just taking a little bit of time to make sure that I get the leaves in the position that I want them to be in, making sure that the hoop is nice and tight. And I've just put it into a frame there to hold it while I'm sewing it, and I'm preparing some 13mm pure silk white embroidery ribbon. I've just run it through my mini hair straighteners. You can use an iron if you don't have any of these, but that just makes it nice and flat, and also makes it quite shiny, ready to sew. So I'm using an air erasable pen here, and I'm just drawing in roughly where I want my flower to be. So I'm bringing the ribbon up through, and I'm stitching down through the centre of the ribbon itself, catching it on a larger needle there. I'm using a bodkin, and I've got just some regular sewing thread, and I'm just going to catch the petals at the edges to bring them up into a little kind of heart shape at the end, because that's what primrose petals do. Leave your tacking fabric on the top, make your next stitch by stitching down through the centre of the ribbon and attaching it with using your bodkin there, and then doing the same again, just tacking it on each edge to form a little heart shape in the end of the flower. It's important that you leave the ribbon on the top of the fabric when you're doing this, because it's very easy, if you leave the ribbon underneath, it's very easy to pull it by accident when you're doing your tacking, and that will pull everything out of shape. And it's also the reason I leave the bodkin in until I'm ready to put the tacking stitches in, because it prevents you pulling the ribbon through too far, because you don't want to pull these little petals out of shape. So we're just going to continue all the way around the primrose in exactly the same fashion until we've got our 5 petals. And that's how simple these are to do. So this is what the primroses look like. These are the only steps you need to take. So it's just 5 stitches with the silk ribbon, and that will give you your primrose flower. So they're very quick to do and very, very effective. So they look amazing. I've just carelessly pulled that one through there. You can see what I mean about leaving your bodkin in till you're ready, because it's very easy to pull it by accident and just pull the whole thing out of shape. So just going to put those tacking stitches in there. So I've just turned it over here so I can show you what's going on the back. I've just clipped that ribbon off, and I'm just going to use the thread that I was using to tack the little petals into heart shapes. Just going to use that to attach the end of the ribbon down. If you are I call them a knot snob, if you're a knot snob and you don't want to start off with a knot, you would start your ribbon off in this way as well. So don't tie a knot in it when you begin, and just tack it down a couple of times before you start your sewing. So I've got here a Pro marker, which is an alcohol based permanent marker pen. It's Buttercup, the colour. And just touch it lightly to the ribbon. The ribbon will take all of the pigment it needs. Don't touch the backing fabric and you won't get into a pickle. It's fine, it's very well behaved, this silk. So just touch it until you've got it the colour that you need, and then leave it to dry very, very thoroughly. So these have actually been left a day in between because I had to stop and start again. If you leave it, when you do this next stage, you'll get a nice crisp line between the centre of your primrose colour and the colour on the rest of the petals, which is what happens in the actual flower. If you wanted a more gentle blending, you would do it while they were wet, but I don't, and I'm not going to do the one that's top right because I've just coloured that. You can see it's still a bit translucent, so I don't want to colour that one just yet. I'm going to leave that one. So now I've got some 4mm pure silk embroidery ribbon. I'm using chenille needles here. Now chenille needles have very sharp points, nice big eyes, and I'm going to do a French knot in the centre of each of these little primroses. So just bring the needle up through, wind the ribbon around the needle 3 times, poke it back down through the fabric, and then just pull tight. So I've got my air erasable marker again. You can get these from Crafty Attic. There's an eraser on one end, or the marks will just disappear in between 1 and 3 days depending on atmospheric conditions. So I'm just drawing in here where I think I might like a couple of little buds and another flower. And I've got my 13mm pure silk embroidery ribbon back again. We use pure silk. Anything else really won't fold small enough to pass through a fabric for you, and it won't behave this way, and also it won't take the dye as well. Some of these synthetic ribbons just don't take dye at all, so silk is what you need really. So I'm just pinning very lightly, and I'm just going to couch this down using a regular cotton thread here, just one strand of it. Couch it down to form a little stalk here that I can put a little bud on the end of. When I get to the top, I can just pass this ribbon back down through the fabric again and just continue to couch till the end. And when I get to the end, I just snip it off on the back just like I did with the petals and tack it down. So I've got a forest green pen here. I'm just touching very lightly, moving the petals carefully out of the way, and letting the silk draw the pigment to colour these little stalks. So I've done a couple on the leaves, and obviously the ones that I've done up there. I've now got some 7mm pure silk embroidery ribbon, passing it through my straighteners again, or ironing it to make it nice and silky and flat. Tie a knot in it, and just bring it up through the fabric, and making sure that it's straight, not twisted, just pass it straight back down again. It's as simple as that. So you've got 1 stitch and you've got a bud, 2 stitches. There we are, as quick as anything this. So I've got my buttercup pen back again. I'm just going to dye those little leaves. You can see the silk does take, just sucks the dye for you. You don't need to do very much at all. So if you use these pens and all you need then is white ribbon, you don't need to keep a stock of different sizes of different colours of ribbon. It's all very doable. So I've got some 4mm ribbon here. I'm just tying a knot in the end, and I'm going to clip that off nice and tight, and just do a couple more stitches just for a little bud casing either side of these little petals here. So exactly the same, straight through, nothing fancy, just make sure the ribbon's not twisted. And there we are, there's a little casing for our bud. So yeah, these Pro Marker pens, somebody emailed me today actually and said, how long do they last, these Pro Marker pens? Well, that's a really good question actually. I have had mine, believe it or not, for about 7 years now, and I use them all the time. You can see how much I use them in my videos. I also do workshops from time to time, so the students come along and they use them as well. In all that time, I've only had to really replace a handful of pens, and these are the colours that get used really quite a lot. So they will last you a heck of a long time. They're really full of ink when you get them, and they will last you a very long time indeed. So these are permanent, and they don't fade terribly much. You can wash them very, very gently in cold water, and the reason I say that is silk, of course, isn't machine washable, so you can't machine wash the pens either because you'll wreck your flowers. So there's my second little bud casing. I'm just going to use the forest green pen again, and just very lightly touch and allow the silk to do the work for me, just to dye these the right colour. And all that remains then is to do another flower in exactly the same way as I did the first flower, at the top of that other stalk, and then this little group is finished. So really simple. All you need is 4 sizes of, or in fact for this project 3 sizes of white silk ribbon and a couple of pens, and you're away. So that's really beautiful. Hasn't taken very long at all. Looks like it's taken ages. So that's how you do your primroses. I thought it'd be a fun little project for spring, this. I'm just going to hang it in the hoop on my wall. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be great, and then you can get all of the new videos as soon as they're available. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again with something new. Thanks. Bye.